Today is Thursday, June 19th. We're talking about the possibility of an American attack on Iran. President Trump is apparently weighing his options. Also, the White House has sent more troops to Los Angeles. And the Supreme Court has ruled on an especially contentious issue, transgender care for minors. Plus, a major hurricane is threatening tourists in Mexico. One of the most iconic sports teams is being sold for a record-breaking amount. And it's Juneteenth, but celebrations might look a little different this year. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. government has started evacuating diplomats and their families from the U.S. Embassy in Israel, while President Trump warns about the possibility of America getting involved in the conflict between Israel and Iran. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, wrote on X that the embassy was making plans to evacuate private American citizens too. But the State Department says it doesn't have any announcement about that yet, and is still encouraging people to leave the country on their own by land crossings. When it comes to the American military, President Trump says he hasn't made up his mind about whether he'll order forces to join Israeli attacks on Iran, saying, quote, "I like to make a final decision 1 second before it's due." The president also says he delivered the ultimate ultimatum to Iranian leaders to dismantle their nuclear program, but that Iran has shown no interest in doing so. Earlier in the day, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah rejected Trump's call for an unconditional surrender and said any American military intervention would be met with, quote, irreparable damage. Though another senior diplomat told the New York Times Iran was still open to negotiations, Trump also suggested it's not too late for diplomacy. Meanwhile, both Israel and Iran are still launching attacks at each other. This morning, the Israeli military conducted a series of strikes in Tehran and other areas of Iran, and a heavy water reactor at a nuclear facility was hit. On the other side, reports say several civilian areas in Israel have been struck by Iranian missiles this morning, including a hospital. So far, no word on casualties. Back in the U.S., the White House has started allowing foreign students to start applying for student visas again, but they now face stricter requirements. All applicants now have to unlock their social media accounts for government review. Officers will be on the lookout for posts and messages that could be considered hostile to the U.S., its government, culture, institutions, and so on. The Trump administration says it's about national security, but critics say it's an attack on free speech. The new directive lets students and exchange visa applicants start scheduling their appointments now, but it's possible not everyone will be able to apply. There may have to be fewer appointments because of demands on the more extensive vetting as the school year is quickly approaching. Thousands more National Guard troops have been sent to Los Angeles under the direction of the White House. That's even though protests against immigration raids have died down, a nighttime curfew has been lifted, and businesses have returned to normal. The Defense Department still says reinforcements are needed to support federal functions, personnel, and property. But local and state officials are calling it a chaotic escalation and political theater. Meanwhile, a court is considering whether the president can really send the troops without the governor's approval, and a decision in that case is expected soon. The U.S. Supreme Court has sided with Tennessee, saying its state law banning transgender-related care for minors can stay. So hormone therapy and other treatments for transgender people will not be able to start until patients are adults, and the impacts go far beyond Tennessee. More than half of all states have similar laws on the books already, and this decision means more can now follow suit if they want to. The Supreme Court was divided on this one. The 6 more conservative-leaning justices sided with Tennessee, while the 3 more liberal justices believed the ban amounted to unconstitutional discrimination. In the end, Chief Justice John Roberts said even though both sides raised serious concerns and there are profound implications, the Constitution in itself doesn't resolve the disagreements. So he said the decisions on transgender-related care should be left to each state's lawmakers, much like abortion decisions. A think tank at UCLA says there are about 300,000 transgender people between 13 and 17 years old now in the U.S. Of course, they still face other hurdles as lawmakers on both the federal and state levels consider which sports competitions they can join and which bathrooms they can use. And this week, it was announced that the Trump administration would stop specialized suicide prevention services for LGBTQ+ youth. They and anyone else will still be able to call or text 988 and be connected to a trained counselor there. But they'll no longer get specialized services. Today was supposed to be the latest deadline for TikTok to either be sold to an American company or banned in the U.S. But once again, President Trump is expected to sign an executive order to delay the deadline, this time to September. That would mean TikTok staying up and running for all of TikTok's 170 million American users for at least the next 3 months. A deal had actually been in the works this spring to turn TikTok's U.S. operations over to a new company with mostly American ownership, making it compliant with the law. But it still needs the Chinese government's approval, which has been on hold ever since President Trump's increase on tariffs. To be continued. Millions of Americans are expected to face extreme heat and humidity starting today. A heat wave is in the forecast for the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. It's expected to at least feel like triple-digit temperatures, with actual temperatures being in the upper 90s all the way into next week. That's at least 15 degrees above the normal and could mark the hottest temperatures so far this year. Of course, the hottest weeks of the year are still ahead of us. For nearly all of the country, the warmest days are in July or August, meaning this heat wave is likely just a taste of what's to come. More news still coming up, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor, Fatty 15. Okay, I admit it, I've felt some effects of getting older, and honestly, it's surprised me. I didn't think I'd already be feeling things like a sore back or stiff joints at times. So I'm doing everything I can for my long-term health and wellness, which is why I'm excited about our new partner, Fatty 15. Based on over 100 studies, there's information that says C15 strengthens our cells and is a key longevity-enhancing nutrient. In fact, Fatty 15 explains that when our cells don't have enough C15, our cells age faster. And when our cells age, our bodies age too. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, vegan, 100% pure C15 supplement that is said to have 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3 or fish oil. It's vegan-friendly and free of flavors, fillers, allergens, or preservatives. Truly, there's no flavor or fishy aftertaste in this pill. I appreciate how easy it is to take in the mornings and has absolutely become part of my daily routine. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier longer. And right now, you can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using the code newsworthy at checkout. Again, get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/newsworthy and using code newsworthy at checkout. Now back to the news. Hurricane Eric is now strengthening off the southern Pacific coast of Mexico. As of early this morning, it's a major Category 4 storm. And soon, Eric is expected to become the first hurricane to make landfall in Mexico this hurricane season, bringing destructive winds, life-threatening flash flooding, and a dangerous storm surge. And for now, it's still strengthening. Ahead of the storm, more than 18,000 first responders were deployed and more than 500 temporary shelters were activated in the danger zone. Authorities are also coordinating evacuation and care for tourists in popular beach destinations like Acapulco. Some ready-to-eat meals sold at Walmart and Kroger are now being linked to a deadly listeria outbreak. And with that, the grilled chicken fettuccine Alfredo products are being recalled. They were sold all around the country at Walmart under the Market Side brand and at Kroger under the Home Chef brand. People have been reported sick in at least 13 states, including Texas, Florida, Illinois, and beyond. Some have even died. So, of course, people are now being asked to check their freezers and throw away the meals if they have them. We have a link with more details about the recall posted in today's episode notes. The FDA has approved the world's only twice-a-year shot to prevent HIV. It comes after 2 groundbreaking studies of people considered high risk. They found the drug nearly eliminated new infections. In other words, the shots were even more effective than daily preventative pills that people can forget to take. It's worth noting the shot only prevents HIV transmission, not other sexually transmitted diseases. And it's not clear if private insurers will cover it. Right now, they're required to cover prevention options without a copay. But the U.S. Supreme Court is now considering a case that could end that requirement. A once iconic American business is now officially under Japanese ownership. Nippon Steel finalized its deal to buy U.S. Steel for nearly $15 billion. You may remember former President Biden tried to block the deal over fears it could threaten national security and critical supply chains. At the time, then presidential candidate Trump was promising to do the same. But both Nippon and U.S. Steel said the worries were unfounded and that the deal actually helps Americans compete in an industry now dominated by China. Flash forward to this week, and the Trump administration reached a deal. So the U.S. government will now get a say in many key decisions on how the company is run. And Trump himself will have veto power over any decision to idle plants, lower production, or staffing levels. The deal will keep U.S. Steel's incorporation in the U.S., as well as its headquarters in Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, another big American company just announced a multi-billion-dollar investment in the U.S. Texas Instruments plans to spend more than $60 billion on American semiconductor plants. It's seen as a big boost to domestic chip making. It's the richest deal in sports history, and it marks the end of an era for one of the top franchises in the NBA. Jeannie Buss and her family have sold the Los Angeles Lakers for about $10 billion, the most ever for an American pro sports team. The Buss family has owned the Lakers since 1979, seeing the team through 11 championships. It was the longest ownership of any current NBA franchise. But now majority control is going to Mark Walter, who already has ownership in other teams like the MLB's LA Dodgers, the WNBA's LA Sparks, the English soccer team Chelsea, and auto racing teams like Cadillac Formula One. Lakers legend Magic Johnson is also one of Walter's business partners, and he endorsed this move, saying Lakers fans should be ecstatic. ESPN reports Jeannie Buss will stay on as the Lakers governor and will keep running the team for at least a few years during the transition. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this episode is sponsored by Skylight. Say goodbye to sticky notes, calendar confusion, and family chaos with the Skylight calendar. It is here to keep your family organized. It is a beautifully designed, all-in-one smart calendar that syncs seamlessly with Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, Outlook, and more, giving you customizable views for daily, weekly, or monthly planning. And listen, I'm not usually the best planner or the most organized, so I can tell you from experience, this can make a difference for your family regardless. You'll become better at managing events, chores, grocery lists, and meal plans. And best of all, it's not meant to be managed just on your own. The Skylight calendar makes it easier for everyone in your family to know what's going on and to do their part. Plus, I use the companion app every day to help add recipes and to-dos, update events, and so much more. Get this, your happiness is Skylight's happiness. So, if in 120 days you are not 100% thrilled with your purchase, you can return it for a full refund, no questions asked. Plus, right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/newsworthy. Go to skylightcal.com/newsworthy to get $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That is skylightcal.com/newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Today's a day to celebrate freedom in the U.S. It's Juneteenth. Remember, the national holiday commemorates the day when the last remaining Black slaves learned they were free on June 19, 1865. Black communities have been celebrating Juneteenth for a century and a half, but it started becoming universally recognized among all Americans when it was designated a federal holiday in 2021. The stock market, post office, and most banks will be closed today, and many people will get the day off work, giving them a chance to check out the street festivals, fairs, cookouts, concerts, and other events planned. That said, some cities are scaling back their celebrations or canceling them altogether. Organizers say there are safety issues because of growing racial tensions and resistance to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, aka DEI. Sponsors have pulled out and federal grants have been canceled. But some educators argue DEI efforts and historical remembrances are two very different things. So they're still encouraging people to mark the day in some way, even if it means just learning a little more about slavery and freedom. Thank you so much for listening today and every day. You can further support our work here and get access to ad-free episodes by becoming a Newsworthy Insider. Start your free trial at thenewsworthy.com/insider. And Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of The Newsworthy ad-free in the Wondery app. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.